The goal of every professional team is a championship. For most, winning a title takes years. But for the Cincinnati Bengals, the climb to the top has been sudden. The Bengals overcame injury and adversity to capture the AFC's Central Division title in 1970, climaxing a 3-year rise to football supremacy. And this is the story of that climb. The 1970 season opened under a cloud of pessimism with star quarterback Greg Cook in street clothes. In 1969, Cook was named Rookie of the Year and led the AFL in passing. Tall, strong, and confident, Cook was the perfect hero to lead the Bengals into a golden age of football prominence. Then the Bengals' hopes were battered to earth as Cook suffered an arm injury that would never completely heal. He was lost to Cincinnati for the entire 1970 season. How to fill the void at quarterback? That was the problem facing the Bengals. The candidates were newcomer Virgil Carter, who had been rejected by both the Bears and Bills, and veteran Sam White, a proven backup quarterback, but certainly no superstar. In the season's first game against the Oakland Raiders, White opened at quarterback, while Carter watched and waited. Sam White performed like a time-tested veteran instead of like a rusty reserve. His elusive running and leadership appeared to win him the quarterback job, while Carter seemed destined to remain a spectator. The Bengals were determined to prove that they could win without Greg Cook, as each player gave from the heart as well as the body. Cincinnati's new Riverfront Stadium was christened in dazzling style as Jess Phillips' 83-yard sprint capped the 31-21 Cincinnati victory. It appeared the Bengals had enough depth and talent to win without their star quarterback as they ambushed one of pro football's traditional powers. But in the season's second game, they were thrown to the lions. Fumbles, mistakes, and a ferocious Detroit defense all contributed to defeat as the Lions devoured Cincinnati 38-3. All the hopes and dreams created by the first victory were suddenly shattered. And the height of the Bengals' embarrassment was Lem Barney's controversial punt return for a touchdown. The next week against Houston, Cincinnati seemed to be back in winning form as All-Pro Bob Trumpy hauled in his first touchdown pass of the year. Then, as if guided by some mysterious force, the Bengals' fortune suddenly reversed. It took Houston's Charlie Johnson only 3 minutes to lead the Oilers on an 80-yard scoring march that broke Cincinnati's back and gave Houston a slim 20-13 victory. The fourth week brought the return of the master. Paul Brown came back to Cleveland, to the team he built, to the town he once ruled. In an attempt to revive the sputtering offense, Brown decided to start Virgil Carter at quarterback. Carter had digested the Bengal playbook and seemed ready to show his wares. Rarely has any quarterback made such an impressive debut. 9 times he threw, 9 times he connected, igniting an attack that had been dormant since the opening game. The offense was overpowering, and the defense equally devastating as number 82, Royce Berry, picked up a fumble and strolled in for a touchdown. The upstart young team from Cincinnati had Cleveland with their backs to the wall, but then the Browns' vaunted attack began to click. Number 44, Leroy Kelly, roamed through the defense for acres of yardage, and Cleveland snatched victory away 30-27. The heartbreaking loss was Cincinnati's 3rd straight and extended a streak that would see the Bengals sink to last place. A team that had opened the season in impressive style was suddenly on a treadmill to oblivion, and the coming weeks would only bring more misery and misfortune. The Bengals' losing streak would stretch to 6, with losses to the Kansas City Chiefs, the Washington Redskins, and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Defeat is a relentless predator. It preys on the young as well as the old. Defeat feeds on a man's mind and drains strength from his body. Defeat is a humiliating force that finds expression in disturbing ways, in passes that sail beyond frantic fingers. Field goals that float hopelessly wide of their mark. Penalties that fall at the worst times. But nothing can measure the true effect of losing. Defeat is a state of mind that infects the fans as well as the players. Losing left the Bengals worn and exhausted, but defeat had also been a valuable teacher, for the team learned lessons that would become the foundations of victory. In the face of defeat, Virgil Carter absorbed the most savage lessons losing could inflict, but had acquired the poise and polish of a professional quarterback. Running back Paul Robinson endured defeat's best licks, but was slowly regaining the sinew and swiftness that once made him the scourge of the league. Rookie Mike Reed looked defeat squarely in the eye and was cultivating the quickness and savvy that would make him a great defensive tackle. The defensive secondary that had often been burned by the bomb was developing the cohesion and tenacity that would bring future victory. The tools of victory had been painfully forged. For 6 long weeks, the Bengals had been like an unsolved puzzle. Slowly, the pieces were coming together. Through 6 straight losses, Cincinnati had been ticking like a time bomb. Against Buffalo, they would explode. Out of the darkness of defeat, into the brightness of victory charged the Bengals of Cincinnati. Against Buffalo, the long road of frustration came to an end, and the spotlight fell squarely on rookie Lamar Parrish, number 20. Parrish sprinted for 2 tape measure touchdowns, one a 95-yard jaunt with a kickoff, the other an 83-yard trip with a blocked field goal. Against the Bills, every facet of Cincinnati's game sparkled. Parrish spearheaded a stingy secondary. Horst Moolman added 5 field goals. And the hard chargers of the defensive line pummeled Buffalo's quarterback. For the second time in 1970, number 82 Royce Berry scooped up a fumble and scored a touchdown. For Virgil Carter, revenge. Carter had been dropped by the Bills, but now had returned to destroy them. Valuable lessons acquired in defeat were put to work. The result was 43 points, the most in Cincinnati's history. The Bengals had polished their game to a bright luster just in time for a rematch with the Cleveland Browns. The Browns came to Riverfront Stadium tied for the division lead, while the Bengals remained in last place. But this was an improved Cincinnati team. They had acquired poise, precision, power, and the quarterback who would lead them out of the cellar. Virgil Carter put on quite a show as he raced for 110 yards on only 9 carries. This 77-yard run was tarnished by a fumble, but there were more. Carter had come a long way since his opening weeks of apprenticeship and had become an inspiring force in the Bengals' destiny. With Greg Cook, the Bengals relied on the bomb. With Carter, the offense became more versatile, and it was this multi-sided attack that destroyed Cleveland. The 14-10 win was a personal victory for Virgil Carter, who had risen from bench warmer to star. It was a victory for the team, for the 40 men who remained unified through weeks of losing. The victory was the greatest in the Bengals' history and finished a chapter in an epic rivalry that will become one of the fiercest in the game. But most of all, this was a game the Bengals won for their coach, Paul Brown, the architect of Cincinnati's destiny, for Brown is the guiding force behind every move the Bengals make. He is a football genius. His trademark is innovation. From the Paul Brown of the past came many of the game's modern tactics, including a system of messenger guards. But with the Paul Brown of today, innovation remains a way of life. Although the winds of change have blown into the 70s, Paul Brown's theory of defense remains basic, brutal, and hard-hitting. In Cincinnati, the Steelers' Terry Hanratty and Terry Bradshaw became painfully aware of the improved Bengal defense. Bradshaw, a hotshot rookie, decided he'd send his runners around the defensive line, but the rugged pursuers buried Steeler runners and pressured Bradshaw into mistakes. Bruised and unnerved, Bradshaw coughed up the ball and left the game a believer. Exit Bradshaw, enter Hanratty. Hanratty's tactics were to throw over the pass rush, but number 31, Fletcher Smith, disposed of that idea. In 1969, the Bengal defense had sometimes performed like a sieve, but in 1970, the defense became one of the team's strongest areas. The offense was quick striking and varied. Bob Trumpy hauled in a bomb from Virgil Carter, and Carter's own elusive style brought another score. But much of the credit had to go to the offensive line, who blasted open huge holes for the bursts of number 18, Paul Robinson. The 34-7 victory avenged an earlier loss to Pittsburgh and moved Cincinnati into second place. The Bengals had climbed out of the cellar and were creeping up on a title. The Bengals' next victim was the New Orleans Saints, who were formally introduced to the Bengal linebacking corps of Bill Berge, Al Beauchamp, and Ken Avery. Defensive ends number 82, Royce Berry, and number 85, Martin Bacalio, lent their own special brand of muscle. The secondary dispelled any passing hopes the Saints might have had. Virgil Carter exploited the varied talents of his receivers for scores. He used the willowy strides of Speedy Thomas to cut through the Saints' defense, and then bombed them with long strikes to a high stepper like Bob Trumpy, number 84. Carter's running ability added another weapon that blended with the speed and power of Jess Phillips and number 18, Paul Robinson. In the second half of the season, Robinson exploded into the style that won him a rushing title in his rookie year. The 26-6 victory moved Cincinnati into a tie for first place. They had now won 4 straight. They were hot, and nothing could stay their surge to the top. The loyal Bengal followers who journeyed to San Diego witnessed the continued improvement of the defense. They have names like Chamazak, Carpenter, Reed, and Berry, but the Bengal defense functions more as one overpowering wave than as any singular man. Number 20, rookie Lamar Parrish, again paced the secondary by making a key fumble recovery and then gathering in a punt and sprinting 79 yards for a touchdown. Quick, short strikes to the Bengals' leading receiver, number 25, Chip Myers, weakened the Charger defense for the bursts of number 30, Jess Phillips. Cincinnati scored only 17 points, but it was enough for a victory and a half-game first-place lead. In the Astrodome, the Bengals avenged another loss as they dropped Houston. This time, the bad breaks and the strange bounces seemed to descend on the Oilers. And the turning point came when linebacker Al Beauchamp rumbled 25 yards to a touchdown. Again, it was the versatility of the Bengals attack that destroyed an opponent. When the Oilers fell back to cover passes from Carter to Myers, Carter simply handed the ball to his running back. Carter threw, the receivers caught, and Phillips and Robinson ran. But the big noise came from reserve Essex Johnson, number 19. The stocky firebrand from Grambling squirmed and battered for 2 touchdowns in an outstanding performance. Johnson exemplifies the depth of the Bengals. Often during the season, injuries depleted the ranks, but reserves were able to step in and do the job. The season's final game brought the Bengals the championship of the AFC's Central Division. The Bengals routed Boston 45-7, and every aspect of Cincinnati's game shined. For 14 weeks, the Bengals clawed and scratched their way to the top, and now a title was theirs. The dramatic climb from the cellar to the title came from the determined efforts of players like number 25, Chip Myers. The rise to the top resulted from a total effort by every player, and none had worked harder than Paul Robinson, who scored 3 touchdowns against Boston. It was fitting that Sam Weich, the man who opened the season at quarterback, sparkled in the final game. The Bengals had come a long way from the cloud of doubt that opened the season. 1970 saw many gratifying achievements. The building of a solid defense. The growth of a quarterback named Carter. And the joy that came to the people of Cincinnati. For Paul Brown, it was the most satisfying year in a lifetime of accomplishment. The victory sent the Bengals to the AFC playoffs. Although they fell before the Baltimore Colts, there's no disgrace in losing to the world champions. In just 3 years, the Cincinnati Bengals have accomplished more than most teams achieve in a decade. In only their 3rd year, the Bengals won a division title. Paul Brown was named Coach of the Year for the 2nd consecutive time. In 1970, the Bengals outmuscled the meanest and out-toughed the toughest. They are no longer an expansion team, but are now a potent football power which has left its mark in the game. But the records, the accomplishments are all in the past. For Paul Brown and the Cincinnati Bengals, there are other mountains to climb, more challenges to meet. And the Bengals enter the 1970s with a talent and pride that could forge a dynasty. Cincinnati's Riverfront Stadium was the home of high hopes when the Bengals opened their 1971 season. Cincinnati was coming off the strongest season in the team's 4-year history as the Bengals had captured the AFC's Central Division title in 1970. Spurred on by 5 preseason wins, the loyal Bengal followers jammed into Riverfront Stadium anticipating a season filled with excitement and victory. The air was alive with the smell of a second championship as the Bengals fielded the strongest team in their history. And in Cincinnati, the fans, the players, and head coach Paul Brown could hardly wait for the opening of the 1971 season. But it was one of the longest years in Coach Paul Brown's long career. 1971 was a year of frustration and pain as Cincinnati was riddled by injuries. Despite a losing season, the Bengals never stopped battling and displayed the pride and spirit that have characterized their swift rise in the world of pro football. Riverfront Stadium was the scene for the Bengals' opening game against the Philadelphia Eagles, and Cincinnati opened the season in devastating style. Defensive tackle Mike Reed, number 74, led the assault on Eagle quarterbacks as he personally sacked the passer 4 times. While Reed was playing a Sunday sonata on the quarterback's head, Burge Carter, number 11, plucked the birds clean with 3 touchdown passes. One a 90-yard shot to Speedy Thomas, the longest pass play in Bengal history. While Carter shined as a passer, number 19, Essex Johnson, was equally brilliant as a runner, streaking 68 yards to a touchdown. The 37-14 romp was the Bengals' 8th straight victory over a 2-year period and gave every indication that Cincinnati would successfully defend its divisional crown. In the second game against the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Bengals continued their outstanding defensive play as number 20, Lamar Parrish's theft, put Cincinnati on the board early. But in this game, the Bengals' razzle-dazzle offense was rarely heard from. Despite another fine performance by Burge Carter, the Bengals managed only 28 yards rushing, and the Steelers derailed the Orange and White Express 21-10. The loss snapped an 8-game regular season win streak for Cincinnati, and the Bengals began a downhill slide that would not end until 2 months later. In the third game against Green Bay, the Bengal offense was again sluggish, and the Pack jumped to a quick 10-0 lead. It was up to the Bengal defense to get Cincinnati back in the game, and number 20, Lamar Parrish, led the charge with a 65-yard interception. But the game against the Packers was a costly one. Not only did they lose the game, they lost their quarterback. Burge Carter suffered a dislocated shoulder, and the burden now fell on the inexperienced shoulders of rookie Ken Anderson, number 14. The rookie was up to the test. Anderson led the Bengals on a 69-yard scoring drive that was climaxed by a touchdown pass to Eric Crabtree to put the Bengals within 3 points, but they would get no further and lost 20-17. The defeat hurt, but the loss of safety Ken Dyer and quarterback Burge Carter hurt even more. Carter had been the leader of the Bengal offense, an on-the-field projection of the Paul Brown philosophy. An elusive runner and pinpoint passer, Carter was on his way to his finest season when the injury struck. But now Carter was gone, and in his place was Ken Anderson, a raw rookie from tiny Augustana College. Anderson got his first start against the Miami Dolphins and showed he had no fear of the big time as he pumped the touchdown pass to Bob Trumpy, number 84. But this touchdown and a pair of Horst Muhlmann field goals were all the Cincinnati scoring. A rash of Bengal mistakes and the bombing of Miami's Bob Greasy resulted in a third straight defeat. And the 23-13 loss came at the hands of Don Shula, a former player under Paul Brown. In the season's fifth game, Cincinnati met the Cleveland Browns to decide the championship of Ohio, and the Bengals played one of the finest games in their history. Rookie Ken Anderson was passing like a wily veteran, and veterans like number 30, Jess Phillips, were running with the speed and vitality of rookies. Since the birth of the Bengals, Jess Phillips has been one of the key performers, and his effort is worth 5 from any Bengal fan. Another mainstay in the Bengals' history has been Paul Robinson, number 18, and against Cleveland, the Cactus Comet ran with the flashing strides that brought him a rushing title in his rookie year. In this game, the Bengals opened all the gates, and out came number 19, Essex Johnson, who would become Mr. Big Play for Cincinnati. Johnson scored twice against the Browns, once on a 3-yard run, and again on an amazing 49-yard jaunt through the Cleveland defense. Johnson's score put the Bengals on top, 24-13, but then an all-too-familiar trend appeared once more. Again, the Bengals had completely outplayed an opponent, only to be cut down by mistakes and bad breaks. Cleveland took advantage of the errors, and 2 Bo Scott touchdowns gave the Browns a slim 27-24 victory. In Oakland against the powerful Raiders, the hard luck trend continued. Once again, Essex Johnson's freewheeling strides put points on the scoreboard. Again, rookie Ken Anderson displayed the poise of an all-pro despite a painful bruised hip. While the Bengals pinned their hopes on a raw 22-year-old rookie, the Raiders rode a 44-year-old arm to victory. Number 16, George Blanda, led a come-from-behind Raider effort that left Cincinnati with defeat number 5. And the Bengals' losing streak would stretch to 7, with losses to Houston and Atlanta. The roar of the Bengal had gone silent. Defeat had left its painful mark. A season filled with high hopes had suddenly become a nightmare. The Bengals had often played well, but when a team falls beneath a losing hex, nothing seems to go right. Passes are dropped, kickoffs are fumbled, and the players begin to fight themselves as well as their opponents. For the Bengals, it had often been a matter of inches or seconds or points, but nothing can ease the pain of losing. Injuries had particularly ravaged the quarterback position, but against Denver, Bengal fans rolled out the welcome mat for Verge Carter, returning to action for the first time. Carter's presence added instant excitement to the Cincinnati attack as he combined with number 88, Bruce Coslett, on a 71-yard scoring play. The big play was back in the Cincinnati attack, and everyone sensed that the Bengals were back in winning form. Rookies like number 33, Fred Willis, had been making important contributions, and now the results began to show. Willis and Doug Dressler had become the Bengals' big backs who supplied the power, and Essex Johnson, number 19, was the speed burner who came off the bench to light the fire of victory. The 24-10 victory snapped a 7-game losing streak and brought to mind 1970, when the Bengals lost 6 straight, only to rebound and win a division title. Although they had a 2-7 record, the Bengals were, incredibly, still within 2 games of the division leaders, Cleveland and Pittsburgh. Against Houston, Cincinnati unleashed all the frustration of a previous loss to the Oilers as the Bengals pumped the oil well dry. While the defense left the Oilers scattered all over the field, the Cincinnati offense was a smooth-running, ground-eating, first-down machine. Number 33, rookie Fred Willis, again ran with all the subtlety of a battering ram as he hammered over for 2 scores. And Carter smoked the Oilers out of the park with passing to receivers like Chip Myers and Bruce Coslett. And another touchdown by Bob Trumpy, number 84, gave the Bengals their 2nd victory in a row. With the 28-13 win, Cincinnati was hitting full stride. And when the San Diego Chargers ventured into the Tigers' lair, they were eaten alive. Against the Chargers, Cincinnati staged one of their finest offensive shows as they set 6 club records. Fred Willis continued his impressive running by slamming over for 2 touchdowns. While Willis paced the ground game, Carter led a supercharged passing attack. The Bengal offense was a study in precision, a blackboard diagram that had come to life. While the offense was overwhelming, the defense was equally devastating as they recorded their first shutout in Bengal history. Number 58 linebacker Al Beauchamp was a defensive terror as he picked off 2 San Diego passes, one for a touchdown that highlighted victory number 4. The Bengals had now won 3 straight. They had rekindled the optimism that marked the opening of the season. And a key to the team's success had been the savage play of the defense. In only his 2nd year, Mike Reed, number 74, has become perhaps the quickest defensive tackle in football, and he was named to the All-AFC team. On the other side of the line was number 79, Steve Chamazak, a 260-pound wall of muscle. From his defensive end position came Big Royce Berry, number 82, one tough hombre from Texas. At the other defensive end was number 70, Ron Carpenter, who hammers ball carriers as if they were punching bags. At middle linebacker was number 66, Bill Berge, one of the best young linebackers in football. From the left side came swift and rugged Al Beauchamp, number 58. And from the right, Ken Avery, number 51, a sticker. A key to any successful defense is the secondary, and the Bengals have one of the best. At cornerback was number 13, Ken Riley, who possesses the tools of greatness. At safety was second-year man Sandy Durko, number 29. Players like Fletcher Smith and Neil Craig were also key performers. But the star of the defensive backfield was all-pro cornerback Lamar Parrish, number 20. Parrish combines the deft hands of a midnight burglar with the blazing speed of a sprinter, and his ability to run with the football made a kick return a spectacle of excitement. The Bengals were riding a 3-game victory wave, but in Cleveland, Paul Brown's hopes were shattered. Despite a 4-7 record, Cincinnati still had a shot at the Central Division title, and Bengal runners like number 33, Fred Willis, and number 44, Doug Dressler, romped all over the Browns. While Willis and Dressler wore down the Browns with sheer power, number 19, Essex Johnson, dazzled them with his assortment of swivel-hip moves. With guard Pat Matson leading the way, Fred Willis dove into the end zone for another touchdown, and Essex Johnson took off on an 86-yard touchdown jaunt. Several times it looked like the Bengals had the game won, but this game summed up all the frustrations of a strange season. Time and time again, the Bengals out-hustled and out-muscled an opponent, only to see victory slip through their hands in what seemed like a nightmare. For the second time, Cleveland escaped with a narrow victory. The 31-27 Bengal loss was followed by defeats at the hands of the Pittsburgh Steelers and New York Jets, and finally the long season was over. For Paul Brown, 1971 was one of the most difficult years in his 37-year career, but there had been satisfying developments. Young running backs Doug Dressler and rookie Fred Willis had displayed the sturdy legwork that championships are built on. Willis was a 4th-round draft pick from Boston College, who used his power-packed 215-pound body to become the Bengals' leading rusher in 1971. Willis was one of several rookies who immediately fit into Paul Brown's plan for the future. For first-year quarterback Kenny Anderson, 1971 had been a year of learning. Paul Brown had hoped to bring Anderson along slowly, but injuries forced him into a starting role early in the season, and the rookie soon found out what pro football is all about. At 6'2" and 202 pounds, Anderson is big enough to absorb the punishment, and he shook off the pounding to display the skills that should produce many future victories. Anderson is a gifted young quarterback who can run as well as throw, but it's his passing ability that should light up the scoreboard for many years to come. Despite a losing season, there were many things to cheer about. One of them was the booming punts of Dave Lewis, who successfully defended his punting crown. Despite a 4-10 record, the Bengals never gave up, and the special teams reflected this attitude. Players like Larry Eli, Bill Peterson, Nick Roman, Willie Jones, and Ron Lamb never let up, and place kicker Horst Muhlman again added his accurate toe. Guard Pat Matson was particularly outstanding, and along with Captain Bob Johnson, Guy Dennis, Howard Fest, Vernon Holland, Steve Lawson, Rufus Mays, and Ernie Wright, the offensive line left many opponents with big headaches. For Coach Paul Brown and the Cincinnati Bengals, 1971 was over, but the future bears happiness for the people of Cincinnati. In 1972, a healthy Bengal team will again charge forward, running, passing, and tackling with all the fury of old. Next year, a bumper crop of rookies will join the team, and the mastermind of Paul Brown will again try to mold the pieces together to make every Sunday a day of victory in Cincinnati. In 1972, Cincinnati fans will again pack Riverfront Stadium to witness another exciting chapter in the legend of the Cincinnati Bengals.
Hi, I'm Pat Summerall with exciting highlights of the last football season brought to you by the United States Army and the National Football League. We're going to give you a close-up look at some of the teams and some of the plays and some of the players that kept millions of fans glued to their TV sets. You're going to see what makes football the great game it is. Superb individual effort, teamwork, spontaneous action, plus the ability to spot the breaks and take advantage of them. So make yourself comfortable and let's go to the game.
1972 marked the 5th season of the Cincinnati Bengals. Born out of expansion in 1968 under the leadership of head coach Paul Brown, the Bengals played in tiny Nippert Stadium and suffered typical expansion blues. But the nucleus of a good team was present. In that first season, the Bengals won 3 games and embarked on a trail that would lead them to the most successful first 5 years of any expansion team in NFL history. In 1970, the Bengals moved to a new home site, but Riverfront Stadium did not remove the stigma of expansion, and the Bengals lost 6 of their first 7 games. But the bitter streak toughened the team. The young defense matured, and with the offense in full bloom, the Bengals won their last 7 games and the AFC Central Division title. In 1971, this young team was so bright a future. This young team that had won a championship in only its 3rd year of existence saw its 4th season ruined by a plague of injuries. Paul Brown had said, "In 5 seasons, I hope to make this team competitive." And in 1972, the Bengals' 5th season, they answered all questions concerning their 71 swoon. They made good Paul Brown's word as they narrowly missed their 2nd playoff season. As they had been throughout their history, the Cincinnati Bengals were more than competitive.
In my job, I fly a lot of American tourists to Europe. But you know, they always have one complaint. They wish they could spend more time there. But this time my passengers won't have that complaint, because they're going to spend a full 16 months in Europe. They with the United States Army. Hello.
Hello.
Thank you. And they taken advantage of the Army's brand new European enlistment option.
If you enlist now for 3 years in armor, artillery, or infantry, and successfully complete a 4-month training program, you're off to Europe for at least 16 months. See your nearest Army representative for further information about a complete tour of duty under the new European enlistment option. If you'd like to see Europe as few tourists do, today's Army wants to join you. Call 800-243-6000 toll-free for your nearest Army representative.
On opening day, the Bengals traveled to New England and rained on the Sunshine Patriots. While New England runners were held to just 54 yards, Bengal backs pierced the Patriots for 246 yards. Quarterback Ken Anderson completed 10 of 15 passes, and Cincinnati convinced 31-7. The following week, the Bengals and Steelers slugged it out in a defensive struggle. This time the Bengals yielded but 74 yards rushing, and 5 Horst Muhlmann field goals led Cincinnati to a 15-10 victory. But in the joy of the win over Pittsburgh, a curious note was struck. Though the Bengals had beaten the Steelers, they had failed to score a touchdown. The next week, the end zone remained inaccessible, and the Cleveland Browns reaped the benefits of 8 straight Bengal touchdownless quarters. The streak reached 9 quarters the following week against Denver, as Browns Bengals fell behind the Broncos 10-0. Finally, rookie safety Tommy Casanova shook the Bengals out of their lethargy. A 37-yard punt return set up the Bengals' first touchdown in 3 weeks. And later, Casanova scored his first professional touchdown with a 66-yard return. On defense, the Bengals gave up only 37 yards passing and tied a club record with 6 sacks of quarterbacks. Tackle Mike Reed, number 74, was credited with 3 individual sacks as the Bengals won their 3rd game of the year. The following week, Cincinnati continued its assault on rival quarterbacks. Against the Chiefs, the Bengals compiled 6 more sacks, and Mike Reed got 5 of them. Two interceptions in the 4th quarter, one by Doug Adams, number 52, filling in for the injured Bill Berge, set up the Bengal go-ahead points. But the Bengals would face one more test. Late in the 4th quarter, with a precarious 7-point lead, the Bengals faced 4 thrusts from their own 8. Number 23, rookie Bernard Jackson's great play on 4th down capped a clutch defensive performance. In the past 2 games, All-Pro tackle Mike Reed had reached rival quarterbacks 8 times. After 5 games, the Bengals now led the league in defense. Joining Reed on the line are tackle Steve Chamazak, number 79, number 70, Ron Carpenter, number 80, Ken Johnson, and starting defensive ends, Royce Berry, number 82, captain of the defense, and number 83, Sherman White, the Bengals' number 1 draft pick for 1972. 6 men, none with more than 6 years' experience, who reached enemy quarterbacks 38 times in 1972. Backing up the line is more youth. Number 66, middle linebacker Bill Berge, completed his 4th season. Number 58, Al Beauchamp, is only in his 5th season. Number 51, Ken Avery, is the veteran, and he's only been a pro for 6 seasons. The 3 backup linebackers are Jim LeClaire, Bill Peterson, and Ron Pritchard, number 60, again, more youth. When Tommy Casanova was still available in the 2nd round of the draft, the Bengals had a steal. He tied for team leadership in interceptions and had a knack of being in the right place at the right time. Casanova and number 1 pick Sherman White gave the Bengals 2 defensive starters out of the 72 draft. Another rookie, Bernard Jackson, number 23, shared duty with starter Ken Riley, the veteran of the backfield with 4 years' experience. Safety Neil Craig, number 34, is only a sophomore, ably backed up by experienced Ernie Kellerman. Finally, there's Lamar Parrish, number 20, in his 3rd season of bringing excitement to Bengal fans. An accomplished defender, Parrish also likes to run, and he and Casanova ranked in the top 5 in the AFC in punt returns to give the Bengals 2 of pro football's most exciting return men. With their record at 4-1, the Bengals traveled to Los Angeles and met disaster. They trailed 12-0 and then lost Anderson to injury. But the Bengals are fortunate in having a good backup quarterback in Verge Carter, and he brought the Bengals back to tie. Three more times Carter drove the Bengals inside the 30, but Moolman missed 3 times, and the Bengals lost on a last-second Ram field goal, 15-12. The Houston Oilers became the 6th team in 7 games to get 1 touchdown or less, as the Bengals defense continued to lead the league. But this was to be a day of offense, as Anderson returned and completed 20 of 28 passes. The Bengals also ground out 244 yards rushing, and starting running backs Doug Dressler, number 44, and Essex Johnson, number 19, each got over 100 yards. Anderson led the team to over 400 yards total offense and a club record 29 first downs. The Bengal offense was back in business. Paul Brown had built a powerful offense. A kicking game of punter Dave Lewis, number 15, and place kicker Horst Moolman, number 16. A line of center Bob Johnson, number 54, with tackles Rufus Mays, Stan Walters, and Vern Holland, guards Howard Fest, Guy Dennis, and number 73, Pat Matson, backed up by Steve Lawson and Tom DeLone. Brown traded for Verge Carter, a crafty backup quarterback, a valuable asset, but none is more valuable than Ken Anderson, the conference's 5th leading quarterback, despite being in only his 2nd season. Doug Dressler from Chico State started at 1 running back spot. At 230 pounds, Dressler was big enough to work inside, yet fast enough to go outside. Number 19, Essex Johnson, gained over 800 yards in 1972, the Essex Express. Number 30, Jess Phillips, backed up both men with his usual all-out effort running, as did Reese Morrison. A fine receiving corps helped Anderson's development. Number 17, Speedy Thomas, worked the outside fringes. In the middle zones, Anderson found tight end tough Bob Trumpy, number 84. Big and strong, Trumpy can take the bumps in the middle, yet he is swift enough to go long and experienced enough to work free when Anderson gets into trouble. But the most pleasant development in the receiving corps was Chip Myers, number 25. In 1972, Myers returned from 2 broken arms to catch 57 passes, was just 1 reception short of the AFC receiving title. With all barrels loaded and a 5-2 record, their best start ever, Paul Brown's Bengals faced a first-place showdown with the Steelers. But on their first play from scrimmage, the Bengals fumbled. Pittsburgh went on to score, and Cincinnati never recovered. The Bengals were no longer in first place. The next week, the Bengals faced the Raiders, their second consecutive playoff qualifier opponent, and the Bengals lost by 6. The Bengals had lost 2 straight and were now 5-4. Then, in the rain, the Bengals faced the Colts for the first time in regular season play, and the Bengals' razzle was less than dazzling. At one point, the Bengals led 19-17, but lost on a missed extra point and a Colt field goal as time ran out. The Bengals, who 3 weeks before were in first place, had lost 3 straight, and with their record at 5-5, they were in a tunnel to nowhere. But there was light at the other end. Against the Bears, in the face of impending doom, the Bengals clawed back. Surprise starter Verge Carter led the offense through the snow and cold for 13 points. The ever-alert defense made the points stand up in a 13-3 step toward the playoffs. The first step had been taken, but the next would be tougher. It brought the New York Giants, and all they had done was score 62 points the previous week. Against the Bengals, they got 52 less. Doug Adams, again spelling Bill Berge, intercepted twice as the Giants got but 10 points. Anderson found a new landing site for his passes as Charlie Joyner, obtained in a trade, caught 4 passes. Anderson passed for over 200 yards and a touchdown to Bruce Coslett, who, along with Mike Kelly, backed up Trumpy at tight end. In one of their most important games of the season, Anderson had led the Bengals to that second critical victory on the trail back to the playoffs. The stage was now set for the Bengals' rematch with the Browns, but their 13-10 victory over the Giants was costly, for Bob Trumpy was lost for the season. The Bengals would move into their do-or-die game against Cleveland minus their all-pro tight end.
This is a bodybuilding course. Take it. If you'd like the chance to be in this kind of shape, today's Army wants to join you. Call 800-243-6000 toll-free for your nearest Army representative.
Riverfront Stadium, December 9th, 1972. A national television audience watched as the Bengals' desperate uphill climb brought them face to face with the Cleveland Browns. Their bitter rivalry meant even more in this game, for if the Bengals lost, their playoff hopes were over. A win, and the Browns were in trouble. With so much at stake, both teams were testy from the outset. The Bengals then ran into an incredible streak of bad luck. Early in the game, Anderson hit Chip Myers from 50 yards out for an apparent touchdown. But the play was nullified by a penalty, one of 2 Bengal touchdowns called back in the first half. With the Browns on their 50-yard line, another break went against the Bengals. 5 men knocked each other off, and Cleveland led 7-0. Then the Bengals fumbled the following kickoff, which led to a 14-0 deficit. Finally, Anderson left the field injured. The Bengal playoff hopes would ride on Verge Carter. Carter responded, and the Browns' lead was cut to 4 at the half. Despite significant breaks going against them, the Bengals had again fought back. At the start of the second half, Bernard Jackson atoned for his fumble that had led to the Browns' second score. Jackson's return set up Essex Johnson's scoring run, and the Bengals led 17-14. But late in the game, Don Cockcroft's field goal gave Cleveland the lead once more. And so with 4 minutes left, the Bengals mounted one more assault on the goal. One more chance to keep their playoff hopes alive. An interception ended the Bengals' gallant last-ditch drive. Cincinnati would not see the playoffs in 1972. Their playoff hopes dashed, the Bengals might well have gone into their final game merely to play out the string. But that's not what the Bengals are all about. Against the Houston Oilers in a game played solely for self-respect, the Bengals had one of their brightest moments of the season. The defense scored 3 touchdowns within 5 minutes in the third quarter. On consecutive series, Lamar Parrish returned interceptions from the 35 and then an instant replay from the 25. Neil Craig returned another interception, 65 yards, as the Bengals defense contributed 21 points. The offense added 40 more points in a total team display by the Bengals. Again, the Bengals had come back strong. Their 61-17 victory in a game that had little meaning, a test of the character of the team. The 1972 Bengals were 40 men who came together early in the season, and regardless of what fate handed them, never gave up. They were 40 men who, no matter what the situation, came out and hit. The Bengals did not come as one man. They came as a team, each man doing his utmost to not let his teammates down. This was the character of the 1972 Bengals, an attitude that carried over from kickoff to final gun, an attitude that makes the Cincinnati Bengals more than competitive.
When you see a game on TV or at the stadium, you see professional athletes being professionals. But you don't see the sweat and bruises in training, the self-discipline, and the motivation that goes into the making of a team that can press on right to the end. You have to get it all together in any worthwhile effort, sports, business, or the United States Army. This is Pat Summerall saying so long for the United States Army and the National Football League. And thanks for the opportunity of bringing you this program. Hi, I'm Pat Summerall with exciting highlights of the last football season brought to you by the United States Army and the National Football League. We're going to give you a close-up look at some of the teams and some of the plays and some of the players that kept millions of fans glued to their TV sets. You're going to see what makes football the great game it is. Superb individual effort, teamwork, spontaneous action, plus the ability to spot the breaks and take advantage of them. So make yourself comfortable, and let's go to the game.
The Cincinnati Bengals crossed the bridge from expansion team to championship contender in 1973. In only their 6th season of existence, they fielded a team the equal of any, and the entire NFL heard the Bengals roar. The maturity of Cincinnati's mascot into a full-grown Bengal tiger symbolizes the coming of age of the franchise. For though Paul Brown's team won the division their 3rd year, Brown believed the 6th season would see his Bengals fully blossom. However, in the season's first game, Cincinnati lost to Denver. And in the second against Houston, the opening kickoff was returned all the way for a spectacular score. Then, for the first time in the new season, the Bengal attack got started. The running of rookie Booby Clark and Essex Johnson, who gained 131 yards, led the offense, and Cincinnati won its first game of the season. The next week in San Diego, it was the turn of the defense to shine. Legendary Johnny Unitas was the recipient of the Bengals' wrath as 6 times he disappeared from view under a wave of white. For the 2nd straight week, Essex Johnson starred on offense. He had 237 total yards and scored twice as the Bengals won easily over San Diego. Week 4 was in Cleveland's huge stadium for the always bitter Battle of Ohio. Rookie receiver Isaac Curtis' spectacular catch and run resulted in Cincinnati's only touchdown of the game, and the team lost a close one to the Browns, 17-10. But the next Sunday, the Bengals really roared against unbeaten Pittsburgh. Terry Bradshaw was sacked 4 times, and the Steelers managed a meager 67 yards through the air. Horst Muhlmann accounted for 12 of his team's 19 points with 4 field goals. But the big story was the Bengals' punishing ground game, which ate up yards and the clock as Cincinnati upset the Steelers 19-7. The next week, the ground attack again was the difference as the Bengals dominated the Kansas City Chiefs. this point of the season, the Bengals had won 4 of their first 6 games.
I'm Dick Butkus. You know who I am and what I do. But I want to talk to you about something else besides football right now. I want to talk to you about the Army's new 2-year enlistment option and what it means to you, because you're the one who can get the most out of it. The deal is this. Instead of the usual 3 or 4 years, you can now sign up for just 2 years in today's Army and still have a choice. You can pick the job training you want, or you can even serve in Europe. Now, any middle linebacker worth his lumps can read that option. It says go for 2 in today's Army. Why not talk it over with your Army representative? He's listed in the yellow pages under recruiting, or call this number toll-free.
In a rematch with Pittsburgh, quarterback Ken Anderson completed 20 passes as the Bengals played a fine football game. But on this soggy Sunday in Pittsburgh, it was the Steelers who came up with a big play and Cincinnati lost by a touchdown. Next was Dallas, where the Doomsday defense continually pierced Ken Anderson's protection, and the Bengal offense completely collapsed. Cincinnati's humiliating defeat reduced their record to 4 wins and 4 losses. With 6 games remaining, it appeared Paul Brown's team was already out of the playoffs. The comeback came in Buffalo, but it didn't come easily. In a great defensive effort, the Bengals held O.J. Simpson to under 100 yards. But the game was tied 13 apiece with just 3 seconds remaining. Then from the 33-yard line, Horst Moolman kicked his 3rd field goal of the game, and Cincinnati's victory drought was over. The next 4 games were at home. First came the Jets with Joe Namath on the bench. His replacement, Al Woodall, was continually hammered into the AstroTurf by a devastating pass rush. When Cincinnati put 17 points on the board in the second quarter, it looked like an easy win. But then Joe Namath came off the bench and brought his team back to within a single touchdown. With the ball on the 1 and time running out, the Bengal defense rose to the occasion and won the ball game. Cincinnati had its 2nd straight victory. The next week against St. Louis, rookie Lenville Elliott, in his first appearance at setback, scored 2 touchdowns, and Ken Anderson threw for 3 as the Bengals racked up their highest score of the season, 42-24. With a record of 7-4, the Bengals were within 1 game of first and faced the powerful Vikings. Fran Tarkenton spent much of the day watching the Bengal offensive front overwhelm the Purple Gang as the ground troops controlled the game. Cincinnati's keyed-up defense literally leveled the Viking attack. They allowed nary a single point and on a fumble recovery scored 6 themselves to beat Minnesota 27-0. In perhaps the most important victory in their history, the Cincinnati Bengals had propelled themselves from the anonymity of a .500 record to first place in a single month. The upset of the Vikings was a big win, for Cincinnati's next opponent was arch-rival Cleveland, also in the thick of the Central Division race. This was a game both teams had to win, but the Browns never had a chance. The orange and black defense swarmed over Mike Phipps and his teammates all afternoon. Offensively, the presence of number 18, Charlie Joyner, returning from a season-long injury, opened things up for Isaac Curtis. Curtis and Ken Anderson teamed for 3 picture-perfect touchdown passes to beat Cleveland. Cincinnati's 5th straight win was a special victory for 2 reasons. They had decisively overcome the Cleveland jinx by eliminating the Browns, and they all but assured themselves of their 2nd division title in 4 years. The Cincinnati Bengals, not the Cleveland Browns, would be in the playoffs. Now only the Oilers stood in the way of a division title, and while Houston proved surprisingly stubborn, the Bengals came on to win. For the 2nd straight week, Ken Anderson threw 3 touchdown passes, and for the 2nd straight week, Isaac Curtis was the prime instrument of destruction. Curtis gave an extraordinary performance. Though the margin was narrow, the Bengals had earned their 6th straight win and the AFC's Central Division title. In the playoff against the Dolphins, 80,000 waving white handkerchiefs signaled the end of the Bengals' great season. But the loss in the Orange Bowl could in no way diminish the fact that Cincinnati's season record of 10 wins and 4 losses was the best in their short history. Only 3 teams in the entire NFL did better. Indeed, there was much for Bengal fans to cheer. Many of those cheers were for the traditionally tough Cincinnati defense. Its hallmark was a ferocious pass rush that brought down enemy quarterbacks 43 times, a club record. At one tackle was Mike Reed, number 74. His great anticipation and amazing quickness often gets him by his blocker untouched and enables him to make tackle after tackle in his opponent's backfield. Reed is a 3-time All-Pro, but his partner at tackle is no less talented. Number 70, Ron Carpenter, has the size and speed to make him one of the best in the game at his position. The ends were Captain Royce Berry, number 82, and Big Sherman White, number 83. In the middle is number 66, Rugged Bill Berge. Flanking Berge at linebacker was Ron Pritchard, number 60, Al Beauchamp, number 58, and Ken Avery, number 51, who had a penchant for making the difficult play. A young, spirited secondary was characterized by the hard tackling of number 37, safety Tommy Casanova, and the alert heads-up play of number 34, Neil Craig. A third player, number 23, Bernard Jackson, saw a great deal of action at safety and impressed everyone with his sharp tackling and ball hawking abilities. Jackson's good moves and fine speed also were invaluable as a kick return specialist. The cornerbacks were Ken Riley, number 13, and Lamar Parrish, number 20. Together, this twosome made life miserable for their opponent's wide receivers. Lamar Parrish also has the distinction of being one of the most exciting kick returners in the NFL. Of particular pride to Cincinnati is the excellence of its fine special teams. Number 15, punter Dave Lewis, and others like Lyle Blackwood, Bob Jones, Doug Adams, number 56, Tim Carney, and number 88, Bruce Coslett, continually gave the Bengals fine field position. No less effective was the kickoff squad, led by Jim LeClaire, number 55, along with Tim George, Tom DeLeon, and Al Chandler. The contributions of the freewheeling men on the special teams were vital to the success of the Bengals.
I want you to be the first to know. I joined the Army, so I guess it means goodbye. Chris, I want you to be the first to know. I joined the Army, so I guess this means goodbye.
Oh, wow. Oh.
Susie, I want you to be the first to know. I've joined the Army, so I guess it's goodbye.
Goodbye?
Ginny, I wanted you to be the first to know. I joined the Army, so I guess it's goodbye. Linda, I want you to be the first to know. I've joined the Army, so I guess it means goodbye.
Oh, Rod.
Ellen, I want you to...
With the Army's delayed entry program, you can enlist now and take up to 6 months to say goodbye.
When did you join?
Oh, actually, last July.
For more information on enlistment options in today's Army, call this number, toll-free.
Last year, for the first time, Cincinnati had an offense to match the strength of its defense. The attack ranked second in the American Conference. The biggest single factor was the development of Ken Anderson at quarterback. Anderson completed a glittering 54% and threw for 18 touchdowns as he set team records in 5 offensive categories. For the first time since Greg Cook's rookie year, the Bengals had the bomb, and the Anderson to Isaac Curtis partnership terrorized defenses all season long. Another receiver who could take the ball a long way was Big Bob Trumpy, number 84. Last Last year, Trumpy's talents were more valuable than ever, for he played tight end and wide receiver due to injuries to both starting wide receivers, Charlie Joyner, number 18, and Chip Myers, number 25. Both men are outstanding receivers, and both were sorely missed. Myers the year before had ranked second in the conference with 57 catches. Late in the season, Joyner recovered from a broken collarbone and opened up the middle by constantly catching the ball in a crowd. On Cincinnati's front line were guards Howard Fest, John Shinners, and Pat Matson, and 3 #1 draft picks, Bob Johnson at center, and Vern Holland and Rufus Mays, the tackles. With Doug Dressler out for the season, the spotlight fell on Essex Johnson as the Bengals' only experienced setback. With his unique hide-and-seek, low-to-the-ground style of running, the Essex Express flowed and ebbed, darted and danced, and made tacklers miss all season long. Essex fell just 3 yards short of 1,000 yards. And while his great season was not unexpected, rookie Booby Clark's was. Big Booby finished just 12 yards short of the 1,000-yard mark. At 240 pounds, he appears to be the big back Paul Brown has coveted since the days of Marion Motley. He has fine speed for a man his size, and once he's tackled, he's still not stopped, for Booby Clark simply drags tacklers with him. 12th round pick Booby Clark was the find of the year for the Bengals and the rookie of the year in the AFC. The most significant addition, bar none, was Isaac Curtis. Long and lean, he has sprinter speed and adhesive hands. Curtis hauled in 45 passes for 9 touchdowns, 5 of them coming when they counted most in the season's final 2 games. In his first year in the NFL, Isaac Curtis was simply a sensation. So there was much to cheer in Cincinnati during the season of '73, and what Paul Brown saw during the playoff against the Dolphins only served to support his optimism for the future. For though Miami beat the Bengals and ended their season, the victory was not easily won. Cincinnati's young team pulled together, played well, and threw a scare into mighty Miami. For a time, the specter of upset loomed large as the Bengals came battling back. So in Miami's Orange Bowl, on a bright, beautiful December day, a note was sounded for the entire NFL to heed. Make room at the top. For after 6 seasons, the Cincinnati Bengals are here.
When you see a game on TV or at the stadium, you see professional athletes being professionals. But you don't see the sweat and the bruises in training, the self-discipline and the motivation that goes into the making of a team that can press on right to the end. You have to get it all together in any worthwhile effort, sports, business, or the United States Army. This is Pat Summerall saying so long for the United States Army and the National Football League, and thanks for the opportunity of bringing you this program.
Given a spectacular blue-skied September Sunday at Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati, with all pageantry and production standing poised in anticipation of opening day pomp, a careful observer might have noted a twinkle in the eye of Benzu the Bengal. And why not? Benzu's Bengals had come a long way in the past 6 seasons. Having won their division in 1973 with a 10-4 record, they were now fully around the corner. No longer expansion-born bushwhackers with glories limited to a given Sunday, the Cincinnati Bengals were now an established power, tightly knit, deep and talented. And no one knew better than Paul Brown, the man in the soft houndstooth hat, that this was one of the very best teams in pro football. So Benzu's eye was a twinkle, for this football team was not only good, it was happy and hungry. But for Paul Brown's protégés, there would be one last lesson to learn, now that the Bengals were not only the hunters, but the big game on any given Sunday. The first installment of the annual Battle for Ohio was waged on opening day when the Cleveland Browns invaded Riverfront Stadium. And no Bengals fan could have asked for a more satisfactory afternoon. Having risen to respectability on the strength of a roughhouse defense, the Cincinnati kids gave a man-sized performance to kill the Cleveland attack. Spearheaded by Mike Reed, number 74, Royce Berry, Ron Carpenter, and Sherman White, the Bengals defense cut the Browns off at the pass and stymied them on the ground. Eventually, Ron Carpenter, number 70, cornered Mike Phipps in his own end zone, and Cincinnati led 16-7. But more significantly, Cincinnati's defense turned third downs into fourth downs, forcing Cleveland to kick the ball away to the game's most electrifying little man, Lamar Parrish, number 20. In the 5 years since Lamar Parrish entered the big time from Lincoln University in Missouri, no player has cut such a spectacular trail through the broken ranks of frustrated opponents, and none has surpassed this little bit of lightning. While the defense and the special squads were fulfilling their potential, the offense, too, was hitting on all cylinders. Big Booby Clark turned third downs into first downs for Cincinnati. And Kenny Anderson converted those first downs into touchdowns, throwing to the likes of Isaac Curtis, number 85. While Curtis was welcomed warmly for his contributions, the secret to all this offensive success, the offensive line of Bob Johnson, John Shinners, Howard Fest, Rufus Mays, and Vern Holland, completely controlled the football game, allowing Curtis and Anderson to operate up and down the field. Tight end Bob Trumpy, number 84, put the icing on the cake with this touchdown grab, and the Cincinnati Bengals rejoiced in the glory of a total team victory, annihilating the Cleveland Browns 33-7 on opening day. But all the good feeling that followed this victory could not wash away the unsettling sight of the Bengals' great back, Essex Johnson, injured and effectively lost for the season. Still, led by Charles Booby Clark, the Bengals banged away at the San Diego Chargers the following Sunday. And with Lenville Elliott, number 36, in the lineup, Cincinnati ground out 2 touchdowns. But a tide of injuries, which began with Essex Johnson, was mounting. Tackle Vern Holland went down on this play, and other key offensive people, including center Bob Johnson and fullback Booby Clark, followed Holland the sad way to the sidelines. And Cincinnati was never to be at full strength again. Still, the Bengals' defense hung tough, punishing the Chargers' attempts at uprising, protecting a slim advantage. Until, with little time remaining, another season-long trend began taking shape. The Bengals lost control in the final few seconds. San Diego's young quarterback, Dan Fouts, sneaked over, and Cincinnati saw all they had sweated for slip away. The third week in San Francisco, the Bengals faced another ambitious young quarterback, but this one did not get away. The Bengals buckled down, and led by their own young ace, they got back in the winning way. Wayne Clark, number 11, added the finishing touches, and the Bengals took a 21-3 decision from the 49ers. The Washington Redskins were next, and some stellar defensive work kept the Redskins in line. A daring safety blitz by Tommy Casanova stymied one Washington drive. And Bernard Jackson batted 6 points away from Jerry Smith. Then Lamar Parrish went into his game-breaking routine, and Cincinnati built a 14-3 advantage. once again, the offense was not to be outshone. Kenny Anderson and Isaac Curtis rewarded the efforts of Pat Matson and Stan Walters, two hard-nosed inserts in the offensive line, and it appeared the Redskins were going down like a piece of cake. Till the old pot-bellied stove number 9 himself came on to heat things up. And the stage was set, it appeared, for the Bengals to squander all their good work in a few final minutes of frustration. But the pattern which had cost Cincinnati one victory was not to be repeated here, and the Bengals leveled the Redskin uprising and came out on top 28-17. The next week, the Browns in Cleveland seemed to be reading off the same page in Sonny Jurgensen's playbook, but once again the secondary hung tough. And it was Kenny Anderson who showed the patrons a thing or two about the forward pass as Cincinnati swept to a 34-24 victory. Cincinnati's first season sweep ever of the Cleveland Browns boosted their mark to 4-1. And even with their injuries, the Bengals looked to be a match for anybody in the tough American Conference. Week 6 in Oakland offered what was to be one of the best football games of this or any season. Cincinnati got off to a flying start as Ken Anderson found John McDaniel for 60 yards. But then things began to get sticky as both clubs played this hard-hitting game for all they were worth. Led by number 83, Sherman White, the Bengals thwarted the Raiders at the pass and chopped down their highly touted running attack, earning for themselves a 14-6 halftime lead. But in the third quarter, Kenny Stabler adjusted the score to Oakland 20, Cincinnati 14. Then on the first play of the last quarter, Anderson found Trumpy, and it was 21-20 Cincinnati. Still Ken Stabler pressed the Raiders to the attack. (23-21) Oakland. Late in the afternoon now, time dripping away. The Bengals, with backs to the wall, turn their faces directly upfield. The incredible Isaac Curtis found his way for 50. And Doug Dressler did the final 3. point after was blocked, but Oakland still needed a touchdown. For the second time this season, the Bengals were undone with scant seconds remaining. A glorious victory was lost. The letdown was hard after the loss in Oakland. And the Houston Oilers, the team that had been searching high and low for the seeds of success, were next. And this Sunday, the Oilers found some of what they were looking for. The Bengals were as flat as paint, allowing Houston to run away with a surprising upset. In Baltimore, the Bengals returned to the strength of their injury-riddled offense. Essex Johnson made his first significant appearance of the year, but he was clearly not the same Cyclone out of Grambling. But Isaac Curtis put hands on two long bombs. And the defense, at length, squeezed the lights out of some unbroken Baltimore Colts, preserving a 24-14 victory, getting Cincinnati back on the winning track, just in time for a knockdown drag-out with city, state, and Central Division rivals, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Unable to go on the ground, the Bengals had to rely on the pass. Still, Kenny Anderson found rookie running back Charlie Davis with this bomb to set up a Cincinnati score. And another big play by Tommy Casanova, returning this punt, set up a second tally. The Bengals kept lockjaw control of the men of steel until the final few furious seconds. When driving for a clinching score, the ball was not ruled dead after Charlie Davis was brought down. And suddenly, the Steelers were deep in Cincinnati territory. Once again, the Cincinnati defense faced last-second peril. And then Ken Johnson, number 80, ran over Terry Bradshaw to preserve Cincinnati's 17-10 victory over the eventual world champions in an emotionally charged classic struggle. Following the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Bengals ran headlong into the Houston Oilers once again. Though the heart was willing, the emotions were sapped. The rapidly improving Oilers dealt the Bengals a back-breaking 20-3 defeat. This second defeat by Houston virtually wiped out the Cincinnati Bengals' playoff plans. And as their head coach Paul Brown said, you can't just play the big ones. You've got to discipline the emotions and be consistent. We've learned that now. Though Cincinnati destroyed the Kansas City Chiefs the week after, it was a victory they couldn't use. Still, performances like the one by number 43, rookie Ed Williams, and others underlined the youth and undiminished prospects of this very good football team. Though there were 7 defeats for the Cincinnati Bengals in 1974, there were also 7 victories. And beginning with a rugged, talent-rich defense, there can be little doubt that the Bengals are solidly built and on the verge of achieving their potential. For Bengals football is fundamental football, led by an aggressive front four which has just reached maturity as a unit, in which each man's success is dependent upon the strength of the man next to him. With solid line backing by Ken Avery, Al Beauchamp, and Ron Pritchard, number 60, awaiting only the return of Jim LeClaire from injury, Bengal backers will fuse the front four with a secondary equally capable of chopping down tall timber. Headed up by Lamar Parrish, number 20, the Cincinnati Bengals are deep and excellent athletes, all capable of making the super cat-quick moves required in pass coverage. With Bernard Jackson and Lyle Blackwood and the very cagey Tommy Casanova, number 37, beside ball-hawking Ken Riley, number 13, the team's interception leader in 1974, the Bengals have the talents and are gaining the cohesiveness in a secondary which will top off a defense as good as anybody's in the highly competitive American Conference. Aggressive special teams, highlighted by rookies number 77, Bob Maddox, and Bill Kohler, are a Bengal team trademark. Nothing speaks more clearly for special team spirit than this block by Tommy Casanova, number 37, to set Lamar Parrish free on his game-breaking odyssey against the Redskins. With quality place kicker Horst Muhlman and punter Dave Green, the Bengals are well fixed at the skilled positions. The aggressiveness and physical daring-do of special teams play characterizes all facets of Bengal football and ignites the fans. But it's the emergence of Ken Anderson and a balanced Cincinnati attack which has hope soaring high for the future. Throwing to Isaac Curtis, Chip Myers, Bob Trumpy, and Charlie Joyner at all ranges in 1974, Ken Anderson proved that he is a master of finesse as well as the bomb. And this sure-handed quartet often turned Anderson's sharp short passes into a gallop for the distance. And it's this capacity, ideally joined with a well-heeled running game, which has altered the Bengals' personality from an aggressive defensive club to an explosive offensive team, able to score from anywhere on the field. And as often as not, the man running under the football in the future will be Isaac Curtis. And this super combination best expresses all the many less visible combinations which have worked to bring this team up the hard way. No longer kamikazes up from expansion, the Bengals have learned the challenge is not to be best on any given Sunday, but to discipline the emotions, to be consistent. That is the fruit of this 1974 season, and the place where the Bengals will begin their season of 75. Cincinnati's Riverfront Stadium was ablaze with blue sky hopes in 1975, the 8th season for the Bengals in the National Football League. Youthful and maturing talent filled the team's ranks, a squad that has evolved around the genius of one man, founder and head coach Paul Brown. In the genealogy of football coaches, Paul Brown stands at the top, a mastermind whose innovations have become NFL gospel. Founding the Bengals in 1968, Brown took only 3 seasons to turn a group of rookies and cast-offs into the AFC Central champions. But since then, timely trades and shrewd drafting have turned the expansion Bengals into one of football's most talented. 40 individuals stride in sync with a living legend, a man well aware that talent alone will not produce a winner, but talent playing in harmony with the team will. So in 1975, Brown's last after 41 years in the coaching ranks, talent and team would showcase a Bengal squad for tomorrow, a team for which the sky is the limit. Massive crowds greeted the home opener against state rival Cleveland as the Bengals began laying the groundwork for their best season ever. Built around the protection of tackles Vernon Holland, Rufus Mays, and Al Crevice, guards John Shinners and Dave Lapham, and center Bob Johnson, quarterback Ken Anderson was an aerial artist, rushing secondaries with stunning greatness. A win over the Browns began a string of 6 games, which would see the Bengals lay claim to an unbeaten title as the offense grabbed the headlines and sounded the trumpet of a potential champion. Offensive fireworks stole the headlines with precision, polish, and diversity. But the real fact was that during the 6-game victory feast, the Bengal defense had come of age. And in gaining their best beginning ever, it had been the blended skills and wills of 40 individuals that ran home victory. Younger members like number 24, 11th round draft pick Marvin Cobb, gave the Bengals quality depth at key positions while contributing timely efforts that floored teammates and touched off victory smiles. The offensive potency had not been a surprise, but their rugged defense had been. A preseason question mark was now a mid-season exclamation point. Bengal defense was fundamental defense. 11 men pooling their talents to make it go. Stars or individuals had no place here. Only men looking to sacrifice their talents to benefit the team. It was hit hard, but hit together. Swarming gang hits wore down the opposition's will to win, and directing the assault was middle linebacker Jim LeClaire, number 55. Every unit needs a commander, and LeClaire was that and more for the Bengal Team D, respected by teammates and foe alike for his ability to jam up the middle. The strength of the fourth-year pro once enabled him to pin a bear, while his mobility and speed to the outside frequently allows him to blow down a sweep or dissect a passing lane. A fierce hitter, LeClaire headed one of the NFL's best goal line defenses, a unit at its best when backed into the shadow of their own goal post. Short yardage stirred these men to greatness and revealed an iron will bent only on victory. Houston could not score on 4 shots from the 1, preserving a 21-19 win. And against Cleveland, 6 tries inside the 2 yielded only bruises as the Bengals pinned down their rival 24-17. Whether it be goal line or midfield, defensive success demands that each man carries out his own assignment. Throughout the season, Bengals fans applauded just such a unit. Like a naval war fleet, each man maneuvered to derive the full firepower of the man next to him. Ken Johnson and linebacker Al Beauchamp. Sherman White and Ron Pritchard were quick, nimble armored cruisers, tracking down sweeps with guns ablaze. Tackles Bob Brown and Ron Carpenter were the battleships of the defensive line, heavy artillery whose thunder blended in harmony with the rest of the fleet. On third down, second-year tackle Bill Kohler, number 68, entered and put up flak to disrupt enemy air assaults, injecting youthful determination and enthusiasm in the Bengals' pass rush. Pressure here caused fumbles, but mostly hurried opposing passers into poorly thrown balls. Reserve cornerback Marvin Cobb benefited from pressure up front, as did regular corners Ken Riley, number 13, and Lamar Parrish, number 20. Ken Riley was an intense hitman, an unlucky 13 for those who crossed his path. Riley, or safeties Bernard Jackson and number 37 Tommy Casanova, could all deliver a lick or pick a runner clean. At free safety, Bernard Jackson was a sneaky pass thief, lurking just out of sight, then turning a sure touchdown into a turnover. 22 times, the Bengals secondary rerouted enemy air games. And Ken Riley's 6 interceptions were a part of that team effort that saw the Cincinnati defense finish second in the entire NFL against the pass. Through 6 straight victories, the Bengals displayed a league-leading defense, priming Week 7 as a showdown between Cincinnati, a squad making a name for themselves, and AFC Central rival Pittsburgh, who already had a name. It was now time for the men of steel to see close up this new Bengal might. Cincinnati muscle versus Pittsburgh steel. The best defense in football against the one that wants to be. For 30 minutes, this combination produced football at its granite hard best. The Bengals matched the defending world champions lick for lick, then saw a tight-fisted brawl suddenly turn in favor of Pittsburgh. Three touchdowns turned the challenge match into an apparent rout. Yet, late in the third period, grim faces only masked a determined Bengal team, and it was far from over. In a heated battle, tension grew as Cincinnati retrieved respectability and closed to within 6 points at 23-17. But in the fourth quarter, the steel curtain descended for good. A later setback to Pittsburgh would deny the Bengals their divisional crown, and they would have their work cut out for them to capture the wild card. Staring at possible postseason elimination, all eyes were trained on the Bengal offense, an important link in the chain holding firm their playoff anchor. Hopes for a playoff bid rested heavily on the Bengals' passing game, an element made vital by the mysterious absence of a co-equal running attack. Though Cincinnati had the horses, they couldn't pull the load. So Paul Brown instructed a different approach to take advantage of his runners, and it worked. Back swinging out of the backfield became inviting targets. Cannonballs exploding into secondaries for yardage that eased their lack of ground strength. An interchangeable cast of Booby Clark, Essex Johnson, Stan Fritz, and Lenville Elliott provided an element the Bengals could count on in their playoff quest. '75 brought new heights to the Bengals' passing attack, a machine geared around the steadiest quarterback in pro football, Kenny Anderson.
Wait, 48! Wait, 48!
Anderson heads a multifaceted offense, a unit which has as many disguises as a masquerade party. Whether it was a misdirection play for a touchdown or beating a safety blitz with a checkoff pass, the Bengal offense hit on all cylinders and reached full combustion when fueled by Anderson's tightly spun spirals. Anderson's last-second release provided receivers with the necessary time to scout out openings in the zone defenses. And by sending men in motion, further help was gained as deception opened wide their avenues of excitement. Whether used as a flea flicker or just to lure the defense one way while the play went backside, the man in motion was the key that unlocked opponents' end zones. Sending a man in motion opened up passing lanes for sure, but its greatest contribution was in freeing flanker Isaac Curtis from double coverage. When number 85 headed sideways, cornerbacks were left chasing the game's best long ball receiver. And in tandem with the best arm in football, it was clearly a mismatch. Curtis showed maturity on every catch and added another dimension to his threat by braving the middle to stockpile 934 yards, second only to one in all of pro football. While the middle became a new and rewarding venture for Curtis, territory farther downrange was still his first love. A 21-yard average, tops in the NFL, and 7 touchdowns made Isaac Curtis a threat every time he touched the ball. Yet, when covered, the Bengal attack still advanced on the precision patterns and glue fingers of number 25, Chip Myers, an original Bengal whose trademark is the guarantee catch. Myers adds raw toughness and gutty play to a position known more for its speed and grace. He's the Charlie Hustle of the Bengal receiving corps, rounded out by John McDaniel, Bruce Coslett, Jack Novak, and Bob Trumpy, number 84. This band of talent made Cincinnati the best team via the pass in 1975. Cincinnati fans witnessed a record 47-point uprising against San Diego, and a full house watched on with millions on Monday night television as Cincinnati toppled Buffalo with a record-setting aerial display. Airtight protection, precision patterns, and sure hands spelled victory as Kenny Anderson's 447 yards passing bypassed Buffalo 33-24. On the horizon, a showdown with Houston would all but determine the wild card winner. But when Kenny Anderson was lost to injury during a loss to Cleveland, the Bengal offense would display talented, interchangeable parts to keep their machine in gear for the playoffs. Rain flurries greeted Cincinnati's bid to remove the Houston Oilers from contention, and with John Reeves replacing the injured Kenny Anderson, the Bengals flew through the visitors for an early score. A season-long axiom became fact. To beat Cincinnati, you must beat all 40 men, as everyone, including place kicker Dave Green, contributed to Houston's demise. Houston slid quietly from the scene as a clutch fourth quarter drive won it for the Bengals 23-19. By winning 3 of their final 4 games, Cincinnati finished with 11 wins, best ever in the club's 8-year history. A team personified had earned themselves a spot in the first round of the playoffs opposite the Oakland Raiders. Sunday, December 28, 1975. A large gathering in Oakland's Alameda County Coliseum will witness 2 of the best in all of football vie to continue in the championship chase. Early Oakland's success built an obstacle too great to overcome on this Sunday. But for the Cincinnati team and their proud old coach, lessons in character would manifest around the efforts of a squad which never quit. Though time eventually ran out on the Bengals, 31-28, Paul Brown realized it was really only the beginning for the team he had built from the ground up. Playoff heat forged his champions, and in 1976, the task of directing the Bengals has been entrusted by Paul Brown to his longtime assistant, Bill Johnson. As head coach, Johnson inherits an exceptionally talented squad, a team strengthened following their finest season ever, a team for which the sky is the limit.